Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes. There's a website I use quite a lot called This Is Money. It's very interesting, full of information about all things financial. So if you ever have a look at it, please do. It comes up with some very good insights. It's filled with professionals who look into things and analyse. So this is where I've picked up this particular little tale of woe. Because councils up and down England and Wales, not in Scotland yet, they haven't got that law there, but in England and Wales, councils have the ability to charge a licence or charge money for a landlord licence. Now, there's no qualification needed. It is quite literally, I suppose, what would it be? Qui reddit addicit, who pays rents. Because it is basically just a license that you pay a council. It's about £700 a year. And they give you a piece of paper saying you're allowed to rent out a house. That's it. You can be a good landlord, a bad landlord. There's nothing that you have to say. It's not a professional qualification, nothing. It's simply a sort of, how can we put this, organised crime. Nice restaurant. Be a shame if anything happened to it. It's a protection racket. And they want their cut. They want to wet their beak in landlords' money. And so landlords are going to have to pay this £700. Oh, wait, no, they're not, are they? They're not. Tenants will have to pay this £700. And so what these councils are doing is making life even worse for tenants, because landlords will just simply pass that cost on. Of course they will, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. It's a legitimate business expense, and therefore you pass it on. That's how business works. If they think, oh, we'll get all this money from the landlords, they don't understand anything. And so they've got this extra level of costs, which will be passed on, and therefore making life worse for those who already can't afford to buy a house. They're never going to get there, are they? Now, Direct Line wanted to know, this is the insurance company, they wanted to know roughly what these costs were, all sorts of things, because obviously being an insurance company, they need to know everything for the purposes of building their model on, for insurance cover and things like that. And so they requested the councils tell them. The councils didn't tell them. And so they actually had to put in an official Freedom of Information request, which very begrudgingly came back. And it's averaging out around £700. For those councils that do it, it's around £700 per landlord. Now, this is iniquitous, really. It's an iniquitous, unnecessary tax burden on people who are already deeply, deeply burdened by housing expenses. And these local governments are just making it worse. It's no wonder landlords are getting out of the game. It's no wonder landlords are selling up and investing the money elsewhere, like in the stock market or something, because it's just easier. And it does, of course, mean fewer and fewer rental properties. Now, the places I've got the list. I'm just going to go through. These are currently those with the highest cost. So London Borough of Enfield, 735. London Borough of Newham, 750 a year. Bristol City Council, 799. Islington, 800. Southend, 808. Middlesbrough. Now, Middlesbrough is already a depressed area. £823 on average. All the way up. Leicester City Council, £1,290. That's basically £110 a month added to rent for a landlord, because he's got to recover that cost. That's an extra £110 a month that a tenant will have to pay. Isn't that a joke? Isn't that an absolute joke? Just because the council are greedy and wasteful and can't live within their means. This problem will grow as more and more councils see the opportunity of fleecing people for yet more increasing amounts of money, because don't think that this won't rise in line with inflation or above. They'll just keep pushing it on and getting it, more and more people encompassing in this net, more and more landlords leaving the game, more and more people homeless, and they'll need even more money. So they'll put the thing up again eventually, until eventually the rents will double simply because landlords have to cover these expenses. It's madness in a bottle. What idiot comes up with these ideas? It's obviously no one who's ever run a business. It's obviously no one with any concept of how economics works. Now, all these, and it isn't just like those few I said, it's all over the country. There's many, there's hundreds and hundreds of councils and local areas. And this is it's called selective licensing. And it's purely at the discretion of a council. There's no vote needs to be taken on it. A council can just simply impose it. It's not as though it goes out for a referendum of the local people. And it's not something that's ever talked about. And I think for most people, who aren't landlords, would sit there and go, oh yeah, make landlords pay, because they don't understand. But when you explain to them, what you're actually not, the landlords aren't going to pay, the tenants are going to pay. You're going to make life incredibly poor for the tenants. Those already struggling, you want to make it worse for them. That's when I think a lot of people go, oh yeah, and think about it and realise how bad it is. There's no unified number. It should be a unified thing, if it's going to exist at all. It should be a very low cost only thing, £50 a year, something like that, just to put you on the register, hand out the licence or whatever, and a bit of paperwork. But it isn't. It's been seen as an income generator, because they need to keep raising the money. Now, what does the license require? Well, it requires you to pay, and it requires you that you have had what's known as the portable appliance tests, PAT test, electrical, once every 5 years, and a gas safety check once every year. But those things are legal anyway. You, as a landlord, you have to do these anyway. Landlords have to do them. They do them. There's no issuing of a license for this. It's a legal requirement as it stands. But now you're being charged £700 on average, up to £1,200 perhaps, to have a piece of paper saying that you're doing what you've already been doing for many years. It's weird. If I was a landlord, I would just sell up now. I'd go. Seriously, I'm looking at going now anyway. I've had a look at Cyprus, and it's just very nice for me. It sits nicely with where I need to be in terms of not paying governments to take me from behind, basically. I don't want to get rogered, and the Cypriot government doesn't roger its people. Do you know how much the average council tax is in Cyprus? They don't actually have a council tax as such, but it's their equivalent charge, property charge. It's £200 a year. Paching, I'm off to Cyprus. That, and the fact that there's no inheritance tax, I'm off to Cyprus. Oh, and that when I retired, as a retired person, I don't pay income tax on the first £3,000 a month. And after that, it's only 5%. Ka-ching. Why would I stay here? And why would I stay here in a government that's constantly trying to screw me? There's no reason. Anyway, thank you very much. Just keep an eye out for that. And as I say, if anyone out there who is a landlord, you really need to start thinking, do you want to continue being a landlord, or do you want to sell up, invest the money in the stock market, sit back and go, screw them? Bye.